question. The man with the white hair and the red tie.
Thank you. My ancestors were Romans and Crusaders, and my name is Rudy Boni, so I should feel personally responsible for all the problems we're debating here. From a sense of perspective, my question to the panel: what do you think about the sustainability of the states, the political entities which will come out from whatever process in the land of Palestine for the next 100 to 100 years? Will either Israel or Israel and the Palestine state be economically and politically viable?
There's no good answer to your very good question. Let me put it this way, and I hope this would in some way relate to what you have asked. One of the main sort of illnesses I think Israelis and Palestinians suffer from is that they have a unique case, that nobody in the world has ever went through similar conflicts and problems. And I think it's always good to let Israelis and Palestinians meet other people who are in conflict. And actually, if we look at the history of colonization, decolonization, ethnic cleansing, and recovering after ethnic cleansing, and so on, you can see that given what the land has to offer naturally, its location geographically, given the fact that the Palestinians as a whole are still willing, despite everything that happened, to share the land with the people who dispossessed them for so many years, I think there's a great hope for this place to be both economically viable, morally and politically sustainable, and contribute a lot not only to itself and its citizens, but to the Arab world at large. However, it will never happen as long as the present reality continues. So if people are interested in changing the reality there, even not only for the sake of the people who live there, but for the sake of people who live here, the first thing that the communities in the West have to do is to adopt the same line they have adopted against apartheid South Africa, and say there are certain regimes and there are certain ideologies and there are certain policies that we do not accept and that we don't allow our government to accept. And we want to force them to change their policies because they have.
And I think one has to look at what's happening in Judea and Samaria in the West Bank, where the government there, the Fatah administration, is committed to living alongside Israel. And there the economy is starting to grow. Tourism to the West Bank has doubled. Car ownership has increased a lot. And the people are starting to prosper, and that is beginning to be a sustainable area. And you have to contrast that with Gaza, which is ruled by Hamas, which is still at the bottom, and that is very important. Yes, it is economically sustainable and beginning to be economically sustainable, and that is what peace brings. Peace brings economic sustainability.
Okay, guy with the glasses.
Hi, my name is Kamel Hawash. I'm the chair of the Midlands Palestinian Community Association based in Birmingham. The Palestinians don't want economy, they want freedom. Yes. They want their human rights. You talked about the fact that Jews should have the right self-determination. What about the self-determination of the Palestinians, whose land it is, and who weren't thrown in from various parts of the world? That's where we were, and that's where we are, and that's where we are going back to. But what I would say about I like this point you made about Palestinian car ownership. Where can they drive them to?
Well said.
Now, but the key in terms of the issue of whether there could be peace or not is that Israel is a state that has been time-wasting for decades. The whole issue that Israel works on, or the strategy, is prolong this conflict, build more settlements. There will be nowhere for the Palestinians to set up their state. They will have to accept either our rule or transfer.
Okay, I want a question from the guy who looks like Trotsky but isn't.
My name is Michael Kalmanovitz. I'm from the International Jewish Anti-Zionist Network. What I'd like to say is that after Gaza, everything has changed. You can't speak as if occupation is a good thing unless you're dripping with racism. It is absolutely appalling what I'm hearing from the Zionists. As Jewish people, one of the things I think we must do is say, you do not speak for us. I just wanted to say one other thing. The times have changed. The movement has changed. in Israel itself, there is a large refusnik movement, people who refuse to serve in the army, starting with teenagers, some of whom are clearly saying, boycott, divestment, sanctions. This is where we're going, and this will make a good change.
Very brief response, Jonathan.
Sorry, just to answer that gentleman, I never said that the fact that Israel is still in control of the West Bank was a good thing. That is a misquote. I never said that.
Okay, who I want somebody who hasn't asked a question. Okay. Yep.
Thank you. My name is Michael Talley. I'm a university lecturer and a management consultant. And I'd like to pick up on the question that was just asked by the Labour MP and make the point that he, as indeed many people here, seem to be asking the wrong question. There's an implicit assumption that it's up to the Israelis to do this, to do that, to pull out of the settlements, which they probably should do, but that's beside the point. There's an implicit assumption that it's up to the Israelis to do something. And that's the wrong question. The question is, why don't the Palestinians want peace? Why don't the Palestinians want a state? They've rejected it in 36 and 37. They rejected it in 48. They rejected it at Taba when Prince Bandar of Saudi Arabia actually told Yasser Arafat, this is a crime against the Palestinian people. So the question is not, what do the Israelis have to do? Because they do have to do certain things, but that's not the question. The real question is, why don't the Palestinians want a state? Why have they always rejected a state?
I think that, first of all, it's important to understand that after 1974, the official Palestinian position was given up 78% of Palestine for the sake of living next to Israel. I mean, to talk about concessions, there isn't a bigger concession than the PLO had made when it entered negotiations with Israel. It gave up the right to represent almost 80% of Palestine, almost half of the Palestinian people, which I think personally was a mistake. I don't think you should give the Israelis such concessions because they would demand more, as history has proven. It was a Palestinian mistake to my mind. But in any case, ever since that moment, there was a Palestinian willingness to negotiate. The Israelis were the ones who refused to accept the idea, which again I'm not crazy about, but at least there was on the table, of a sovereign Palestinian state next to Israel. The Israelis said not a sovereign state. What you can have is a Bantustan, which even the fragile Arafat eventually decided he cannot accept while accepting everything else. I suggest that people who think that the story of peacemaking in the Middle East is about an Israeli gestures of peace which are rejected by the Palestinians and the Arabs, I suggest that you read Avi Shleim's book, The Iron Wall. Yeah. In every juncture, when there was a real chance for peace, the Israelis rejected their chance for peace for very good reason. They had America behind them. They had the Western world behind them. They were facing the weakest and smallest rival possible, the Palestinian people. And they knew that they can get away almost with everything. And they got away with almost with everything. And let's put a stop to it.
You'll have the lady in the blue with the white hair.
My name is Selma James, and I am from the International Jewish Anti-Zionist Network. I want to deal, yes, there are many of us.
At least two.
I want to deal with the question of so-called complications. I want to make points very quickly. First of all, it's not very complicated. European imperialism is known by everybody in this room, and what Israel did is an example of, it's very, very simple. It's imperialism and it's occupation. The second thing is the neoconservatives are being defeated. They were defeated in the United States. They are not yet defeated in Israel, but they're an anachronism. And what's happened with Gaza is that there has been a sea change in the attitudes of people throughout the world. And my third point, not least, Jewish people in the United States. They are very embarrassed by what Israel has done. 52% of the young people, Jewish people at universities now, have said they do, not now, last year, have said they don't care if Israel survives or not. That's not important to them. That was before Gaza, okay? Now they are even more like that. The Obama speech which spelled out the fact for the first time that Palestine is occupied and that great indignities, etc., result from that, that speech was based on a change of Jewish opinion, on a change of congressional opinion, and on a change of world opinion. Israel is a loser.
So, thank you very much.